Oh boy, here we go again. I have the privilege, the God blessed privilege to speak into your life again and to help you in the journey of becoming God's person, to becoming a surrendered, changed life, uh, to help you on that road to recovery, to anchor you on that journey. And I really feel it's a privilege to be here. Um, most people who struggle with addiction are really, really not good at empathy. And and this talk is designed to stretch you a little bit to understand what your addiction has done to your spouse and the the necessity of building empathy. And so there's some images that I want to just throw out there and discuss. One of them will help you the most. You pick the one that helps you the most. But you got this addiction going, and it's caused a lot of pain in your spouse as it gets discovered or as you disclose it. And some of the pictures are you picture a blazing gun where it's still smoking. You can see the smoke coming off. The shot has just been fired, and you put a bullet into your spouse's shoulder, and you go, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to hurt you." And you're coming over with the smoking gun, trying to be the one who helps, and you're the one that caused the pain. And so this idea of, honey, trust me, honey, let me help you, honey, you shouldn't feel this way. And you're holding the flipping smoking gun that caused the pain. She's sitting there with a shot in the shoulder. And every time you relapse, it's like taking another bullet. There's one picture. Another picture is you and your spouse are in a horrific car accident and they have life-threatening injuries. They're seriously wounded. And you are the one driving. You are the one driving selfishly, recklessly, saying, no big deal. It's not going to hurt anyone. And they are simply a passenger in the seat of the car you were driving. And they have all this damage, this surgery that needs to be done, this healing that needs to be done, this rehab that needs to be done, all because of your carelessness. You were the one who caused the car accident that's caused their hurt and their pain and their damage. Maybe that's the picture that'll help you. Thirdly, this one's a little graphic, but there's a near drowning incident where your spouse almost succumbed to the water. And every time they look up with that helpless feeling like they're going down the last time, they see you repeatedly pushing their head under. And they're going, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Stop. I'm going to drown. Stop it. Stop it. Now, right now, I'm not your favorite life coach and encourager in your recovery. I'm pretty straight on these images. Because you see, whether it's the blazing gun, the car accident, or the drowning incident, or the near drowning incident, there's clear implications that you are at fault. And you are. That's why you need to make some changes so you don't cause any more pain. So, to begin to understand some of the damage you caused, or another word is partner betrayal trauma, you got to understand all the crazy things that goes on in your spouse's heart and mind and life because of the addiction and the trauma they've gone through because of your betrayal. And just for context, understand that most partners are bothered as much by the lying, the bold-faced lying to their face, the denial, the withholding, the secrets. Most of them are bothered as much as that as by the actual sexual part of the addiction. So it's a double thing. It's the betrayal sexually, and it's the lying interpersonally that just crushes them. So be brave. Listen with the idea of understanding and start thinking about what it looks like to grow in empathy. So to begin to understand the damage you've caused, there's some things that would help you to understand what's going on in your life partner's heart and life. First of all, the word betrayal. I mentioned it about that the whole lying and dishonesty thing, but being incessantly lied to creates a seriously deep, broken trust. Sexual unfaithfulness to the marriage, whether porn, masturbation, or outside the marriage, actions outside the marriage, it adds another whole layer to the trauma that they're forced to carry. But it comes down to it. You lied to me. You're the one they trusted. They gave you their heart. They gave you their life. And now this, you've lied to them. You've betrayed them. You've given them the impression of one thing and something else is going on. There's a real deep sense of betrayal that's counterintuitive to a marital commitment. So betrayal is a big thing. The lies and the unfaithfulness. And what it does to them is, number two, emotional disequilibrium. But basically, they get all unsteady inside. What they're going through, the trauma, creates this unbelievable, real emotional and physiological pain. Some women actually have a deep physiological pain in their chest, or they feel sick to their stomach, like they want to throw up. This emotional disequilibrium happens where they feel stress, worry, doubt, anger. They feel spent, disgusted, uncertain. Do they love you? Do they not love you? Can she trust you? Can she not trust you? How will she know if she trusts you? The head and the heart are just spinning like crazy. When should she believe and trust you again? Their pain is so deep with no easy fix for this emotional instability. The shock creates this huge amount of disequilibrium or instability. And they got highs 57 of emotions, and they could all be in the same day. And just understand that it is a challenge to overcome such a variety of emotions that are all colliding simultaneously on their heart. And then for most of them, they can't help but understand a feeling of rejection, which understand, and the resulting insecurity. Rejection, you don't love them. Insecurity, did you ever love them? Will you ever love them? Do you love them now? They feel unloved. They don't feel treasured. They feel unwanted. And then they start to feel inadequate, compared, or flawed. They even start to take on self-blame. But I try to remind the partners that your spouse had this problem before you even met them, usually. It's not about them. But there's a lot of self-blame. What's wrong with them? What should they do different? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you hide it? Why do you even try to justify it? There's just so many questions in their mind, and this sense of rejection, and they don't know what they can trust anymore. They don't know how they're ever going to feel secure. They look back and wonder, if you only ever just pursued them for sex, did you really love them? And because the relationship turns out to be a lie to them, and the commitment turns out to be a lie, they have a hard time believing that you really do love them, could love them, maybe ever did love them, and that they will ever be good enough to be loved. Because if they were, in their mind, well, you wouldn't be doing this. And so there's a sense of massive rejection and the resulting insecurity. What else is some of the damage that's been caused? Sexual barriers. You're wanting them to be intimate with you again. Whether it's men on this phone call or any of the other scores of men I've helped with. You think of some of the worst unfaithfulness that you have exuded to them, that you have carried on in your relationship. And spouse after spouse imagines that in their mind. They imagine you at work looking at your computer and masturbating. They imagine you pulling over to some alley and looking at porn on your vehicle or on your phone in your vehicle and masturbating. They remember the time they walked in on you at 2 o'clock in the morning, being alone. They wonder why you're so long in the bathroom. Every time that you're long in the bathroom, they're just wondering what's up. And if you've acted outside the marriage, they literally imagine you with the other person. They imagine you, in the massage parlor. They imagine you with the prostitute. They imagine you with the coworker at work. They imagine you with the hookup through the online site where you just met somebody at a truck stop or at a rest area. And it's just like they imagine this. And sometimes they imagine people that they know because you had an affair or a sexual encounter with someone that they know. Oh my goodness. And all these things are in their mind, and they're supposed to lay that down and be in bed with you and be intimate. See these multiple triggers, the images, the pictures, the sensations, the smells, the associations. They fire in their head as they move towards the bedroom. They envision you, in these circumstances, and they're just grossed out. They rerun your PMO cycle. They rerun the times that you lied to them, and you wonder, were you doing that at the same time we were doing this? They remember the many times that you were distracted by maybe attractive people when you were even with them on a walk or in a park or in a mall. They imagine you with the other people they were sexually engaged with. And yeah, they're almost ready to throw up. They feel that dirtiness, that sense of being used, and certainly a huge drop in their sexual confidence. If they were what they needed to be, you wouldn't be doing this, would you? Truth is, you still would, because it's an addiction. And when you ever be able to think about them when you're intimate with them, they can just imagine your mind is elsewhere. So the sexual barriers are massive. Be careful in your desire to reunite with your spouse, because that's not going to be an easy journey. Fifthly, shame and embarrassment. When this all comes out, who do they talk to? How do they begin to heal from the mess that you've created? Who will be able to understand their hurt? Do they tell their family? Do they want their family to know that you struggle with this and have hurt them so? And if they do tell their family, how does their family heal from your betrayal? They're often forced to carry the secret of your addiction and unfaithfulness. They often carry it alone, because they think, what are people going to think about you? And even how do they explain it? And sometimes they can't even sort out that maybe they're partly to blame for it, or maybe something's wrong with them. And because remember, they feel that rejection, insecurity, and sense of failure. So shame and embarrassment is massive. And what else is your addiction doing to your spouse? It causes some serious doubts in their own faith. Well, where was God in this? Why did he allow me to marry you? If he knew this was going on, he should have given me this feeling that I shouldn't have married you. They're saying I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want this. I didn't know this. And their discouragement for God is real. Why would God allow you to keep doing this? And shouldn't he convict you? Shouldn't you want to be over this? Some feel betrayed by God, not just you. Why doesn't God just fix you? Why doesn't God convict you? Why don't you listen to God? Why does he let you keep going like this? Does God not understand all the pain that's being caused? Is he not convicting you of this sin and this travesty in the marriage? So there's a lot of things that mess up their views of God and faith, let alone their closeness to you. Now, boys make excuses, men make changes. So this here is time for you to listen up. And no matter how hard it was to hear those 6 things, understand that there is a path beyond. Integrity can be achieved. A change in life and heart can be achieved. Overcoming the addiction can be achieved. Putting it behind you can be achieved. Rewiring your brain can be done. Brain plasticity does exist and allows you to create new neurological pathways of freedom, but it is going to take work. But to really move in a healthy direction, you have to start by building empathy, which is the opposite of selfishness. You see, the addiction has been maintained by your ongoing justification that as long as she doesn't know, as long as he doesn't know, if it's a woman who's struggling with addiction, it doesn't hurt them. Not true. You see, your addiction is driven by selfishness. Their discovery or your disclosure doesn't automatically change you. Wouldn't that be nice? But you have to work to do recovery from the addiction. You have to work to recover. You've been self-centered for years, and you've been justifying your behavior, sometimes even blaming your spouse. That's selfishness too. You've been lying to yourself about not hurting anyone, not hurting them. That's selfishness. You've been keeping secrets, withholding the truth, and lying to their face. That's selfishness. And realizing that the hurt you're causing is your selfishness, and it is not thinking of their. I mean, when Jesus talked in Matthew 7, verse 12 about do unto others the way you want them to do unto you, you desire honesty. You desire them to be forthright. You desire them to be truthful. You desire to care for you and put your needs first. That's what you need to do for them. You see, you start building empathy with a commitment to other-centeredness, to spouse-centeredness. It's not easy because the addiction has always been about selfishness, your justification, your excuses, your ongoing behavior that causes this massive betrayal. You will notice so many of your actions, statements, attitudes, questions all point to one thing. It's all about you. That's the selfishness. And now you want them to heal quickly. You want them to get over it. You want them to stop being triggered. You want them to forgive you. You want them to just trust me now. You want them to move forward. Even that recovery process is ongoing selfishness. That's why we call it emotional adolescence. You're still acting like a 14-year-old who wants everything to be fixed quick. And you're soft at carrying the pain of the hurt that you've caused. So, what are the beginning steps? At least some great steps to take to rebuild trust with your spouse. Here's a few. Lots of humble submission of the hurt you've caused. When your spouse is triggered and fires out a zinger that hurts you because they're criticizing you or telling about their hurt or whatever, it's like this. I'm really sorry. It's all on me. I'm really sorry. I caused this hurt. I'm sorry. Humble admission. I was wrong. I did this to you. You have a right to be angry. And just coming back with, I'm sorry, it's my fault, over and over again. Because you have to be patient as to what they need to rebuild the relationship. It's going to take some time for them to rebuild trust. It's going to take not just time, but real changes in you. It's going to take some real commitment to the work. And when the spouse hears, what do you mean he's supposed to be doing some recovery work? What do you mean? And then we discuss the 12-step program that you've been coached to be doing on the side. The path to freedom. And they go, I've never seen those books. Never been ordered. They're not doing the recovery work. They're not making the changes. They're not being accountable. They're not putting in software to protect them from getting to questionable sites. They're not checking in. They're not reporting in. They're not making changes. And there needs to be a lot of effort doing the work of recovery. There needs to be a lot of effort to make the changes. There needs to be a lot of effort in just openness and disclosure. And there needs to be a lot of leaning in onto Jesus, of just really surrendering your life. Jesus, change me, that he would bring deep and lasting changes. There's so many scriptures could be used here, but certainly one of the biggest scriptures in the whole Bible on empathy is this in Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, especially verses 3 and 4 when we get to it. But in context, we read this. And I'm going to put in the context of you recovering from your addiction. Therefore, if any of you have encouragement because you are now reunited in Christ beyond your addiction, if any of you have been comforted by his love and the change he's brought you and the change he's bringing as he heals your spouse, if there's any common of sharing the Spirit, that you're growing together in trust with God at the center, if there's tenderness and compassion for your spouse because of the hurt you caused, then Paul says, make my joy complete. The healing will come because you become light-minded, having a same genuine love, being in one spirit and one mind together again. Maybe you've never even have that. But that would be the goal, that your marriage would grow to the place that you're light-minded, have the same love, the one Spirit of God in you, and you're one mind, you're in real unity. And that you're no longer, look what it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition, getting what you want, vain conceit, blaming her, denying it's a problem, being conceited and justifying, rather in humility. Value your spouse above yourselves, not looking on your own interest and what the addiction brought you, but you would look categorically and holistically on the interest of your spouse. That, my friends, is empathy. You may want to review this talk with your spouse. You may want to go from this talk and say, hey, listen, we had a talk in regroup this week, and just reminded me how much pain I've caused you, and I just want to apologize again. Or you may want to just say, hey, would you watch this with me? And would you tell me which of these are true about you? I just want to understand your pain better so I can own it more. I'm really sorry. So what are you, the blazing gun? Are you the one driving for the car accident? Are you the one that almost caused them to drown? That's like what your addiction does to the heart of your mate. Jesus, help us. Jesus, help us become the people that you want us to be. Amen.